Welcome to Dawg Day Afternoon, your home for free NBA picks, free Major League Baseball picks, and best bets for Wednesday, April 13th of 2022. I am Gilles Gallant with FTNBets on a show powered by the FTN Network, and I'm joined as always by Qwan Young. Now, Qwan, we had a rough go last week, man. We had the reverse sweep. Was not looking good. We're now down to 14-11 for our show so far, but we're still up 5.1 units through 8 shows. So, Qwan, I need a little inspiration today. Can you please tell me your best comeback story?
Best comeback story?
Yeah.
In college. I always go to college because that's probably more fresh in my mind. We were playing the 10-0 Tiffin Dragons, and we were 8-2 or 7-2. Where we had an opportunity to make it to the playoffs, the D2 playoffs, if we beat Tiffin, and some other things happened our way. So we were down 20-3 at halftime. And I'm talking about like they were lighting us up. Came out, first couple plays, they dropped a bomb. Not on me.
That's what I was about to ask. Did you give up those scores?
No. So like the last couple minutes of the first half, the quarterback scrambled out, and I took out his knee. And he was like hobbled the rest of the game. So we came out second half, played a little defense. I caught 2 interceptions. First interception was up the sideline, probably one of the most beautiful catches you'll ever see. I'm going to make sure I start putting it out there a little bit more so people can recognize who I am.
Yeah, let me see the clip.
I will get the clip on the show, maybe Friday. But I got he tried to hit me with a double move. I caught it up the sideline diving. So we're slowly moving back. We're slowly coming back. And then we go ahead 24-20, I think it was. And they're going on their last drive. Now, I sniffed out this curl route earlier in the game, and I just dropped the interception. So I was sitting on it. I was like, they're coming back to it. They're coming back to it. They're coming back to it. So I see the flat action by number 2, and I jump the curl. Boom, game-winning interception, 24. It was 24-23, I think it was. That was the final score. So we had to crawl our way back slowly but surely. All I heard was the Al Pacino inch of speech from Any Given Sunday in my head. The entire second half, it's a game of inches.
You gotta take it.
You got it. Yeah, that's what it was. So that was probably the greatest comeback. We played an arena game, the arena championship in 2014, where we had to make a comeback. We were up big, and then they came back at the end of the first half, but we came back, caught an interception in that game. Usually when I catch an interception, we need it. So I'm going to call myself a clutch performer.
So to recap, you took out a quarterback's knees Bounty Gate style. You then get 2 picks in the second half, the ceiling pick. And not only that, you helped spearhead a comeback that was essentially a 24-0 scoring comeback. You know what I mean? Because they were up 20 to, or actually, yeah, so it would be 21.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Listen, man, I used to have a good body, and I was good enough to do a couple of things. So, yeah, that was probably one of the greatest games I played in. There's no ESPN Classic for D2 games, but it would have been.
No, we need to see the tape. I want to see the tape that you're sending to the D1 schools when you're like in your second year of college, and you're like, I'm thinking about transferring. I would love to see that, and then we can go through it. We could dissect the plays. Maybe I'll get somebody else that we haven't seen it, and then we could bet on the outcome of what's going to happen in the next play, kind of thing. That would be beautiful.
I like it.
All right, so we're going to get started with picks here, getting going now. Just want to let people know, no Blue Jays home run props today. I'm trying to show just a little bit more discipline. Only play these when they're at the Rogers Center. Now, obviously, it helps when they're playing a guy like Garrett Cole, who, for the most part, has been struggling, but at the same time, I don't want to take that risk playing that in the Bronx tonight. But should let people know that through 5 games, I bet 2 Blue Jays each game. I'm 3-7 through 5 games, but I'm still up 7.6 units, Qwan, just betting home run props for the Blue Jays and taking 2 the sluggers in the heart of the order. So we'll be back on that on Friday. When the show on Friday, we'll have more picks for Blue Jays home run props. But what that means is that we got to stick with the NBA play-in games tonight, and we've got a lot of MLB on the slate. That's why I've got Jessica Gridiron of FanDuel. She's coming on in the second half of the show, and she's going to give her top baseball bets for tonight. She is one of the most solid handicappers I've tracked since I came into the industry just around 5 years ago. So I'm really excited to have her back on because I know that she's going to have some really solid baseball plays early in the season. All right, now before we get started with the picks, Qwan, all my picks today are brought to you and bet on at Caesars Sports. And if Caesars is available in your state and you haven't signed up yet, now is the perfect time. Use the code FTNBets, Caesar, FTNBets, CZR, and Caesars will give you an $1,100 free bet just for signing up. And if you already have a sportsbook account with another spot, that's okay. Just get another one because having multiple sportsbook accounts is essential for prop betting and line jumping. And it's something that I do every day, Qwan, honestly, to get the best odds. And for me, who's somebody who's betting plus money all the time, consistently, Caesars has been my go-to for finding awesome plus money options. Sign up now with Caesars Sportsbook today. All right, now, for anybody who hasn't watched the show before, here's how it works. I give you my Omega pick, my Beta pick, and my Alpha pick, and each one is ranked based on confidence of me winning the bet. So we're going to get started with the Omega pick. We're going to the Hawks-Hornets play-in game, Qwan. Very awesome matchup. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people on player props for this one, especially a lot of overs. Probably a big total. A lot of people are going to play the over in this one. I nailed down a pick that I really like for this game, and that is Kevin Huerter over 2.5 3-pointers made tonight at plus 110. And the Red Rocket, he has been lights out lately over his last 20 games, averaging 6.5 3-point attempts per game. He's hitting around 2.6 per game. That's kind of the sweet spot for this. And the couple of elements bode well for a 3-point prop for him tonight. So over 50% of his total shots come from behind the arc. He's hitting just under 40% on his 3-point attempts at home. And on 2+ days rest, he's shooting 47% from 3-point range on an average of just over 6 attempts per game. And he's facing a Charlotte team that is honestly a 3-point prop better's dream, man. Like since the start of March, the Hornets ranked 26th in opponent 3-point makes, 24th in 3-point attempts, 26th in opponent 3-point percentage. And if you just start doing splits like last 30, last 14, last 7, the Hornets are a bottom 5 defensive team on the perimeter in any of those splits. And then when you look at how Kevin Huerter has fared against Charlotte this year, and just in his career, he has just shot the lights out. If you look just, for example, at the start of last season, the Hawks have played the Hornets 7 times. In 5 of those games, he had 3 or more 3-pointers, 59 3-point attempts in those games. And 2 of those 3 games this season, he's hit 3 or more 3-pointers. So give me all the Huerter threes tonight against Charlotte.
Now, big game tonight. We saw the play-in last night. I want to ask you, like outside of the prop bet, if you do want to expound upon that, but do you enjoy the play-in?
I do and I don't. I think the one thing that I don't like is the 7 seed game, because I don't think the 7 seed is lost yet, in the span. And I think that's been my issue, is that I kind of feel like when you're a 7 seed and you're 10 games above 500, like in the West, like the way the Timberwolves were, and you're playing against, a Clippers team that maybe is just a little bit below 500 or right around 500. I just feel like that's kind of like, I don't know, or even like the Pelicans for right now, like, they probably just right around 500, but like the Spurs are like 10 games like below 500. I just kind of feel like you should at least finish above 500 to get in a play-in spot. I know that obviously that kind of would discount or eliminate a lot of teams in the 10 spot for that. But for me, that's kind of been my issue with it, is that I feel like you're rewarding losing, even though, that's been my takeaway from the play-in game so far.
Okay. Just wanted to get your take on that.
No, but I mean, they were awesome games. I thought the Nets were going to just destroy the Cavs, and they looked like it was 40-20 after the first quarter. And then the Cavs just took off. And that's been the big concern with the Nets going forward playing against the Celtics, is that their defense has just been trash. Like they can't stop anybody. And they're going to play against the Celtics team where their defense is top notch. Robert Williams is likely going to come back later in that series. And already the Celtics, they have home court advantage. They are favored to win that series over the Nets, which is crazy because if you look at the championship odds, I'm pretty sure the Nets are the second or third favorite to win it all. So take that for what you will.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on now to the beta pick, Qwan. It's a baseball pick, and this game is actually just getting started right now. It is for the Phillies and Mets, and we're going with Aaron Nola over 6.5 strikeouts at plus 100. Grab that at Caesars. And I make it a point to monitor when Nola is pitching at home, because when he is in Philly, he is nearly unhittable, man. You just look at his splits from last season. 3.26 ERA in home starts last year compared to 5.27 on the road. And his strikeout rate is better at home. Opponent batting average is lower in Philly. In 14 home starts last year, Nola had 7 or more strikeouts in 11 of them. So 11 of 14 games, he had at least 7 strikeouts. And in 4 starts against the Mets last year, 33 strikeouts, 7+ Ks in 3 of them. And in the other game, he had 5. So it's not like he was just getting shelled in the opening inning and then, just being trash at that result. Now, the other thing that I would try to put a little disclaimer on this, it is a little bit of a small sample size, but the Mets have been whiffing a lot so far, Qwan. 50 strikeouts in 6 games, 25% strikeout rate. That's bottom 5 in baseball so far. Current Mets players, when you're looking at like batters versus pitchers, historically they've struck out 33% of the time in 201 career at-bats through all those guys in the order. And I think with Max Scherzer on the other side pitching for the Mets, I expect really an awesome pitching matchup for this one. So give me Aaron Nola over 6.5 Ks at +100.
Quick update on that game. I just checked the stats, the box score. He has 1 walk so far. No strikeout.
All right, well,
we want to get some strikeouts.
It's early,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's obviously not great when you put a guy on probably the first leadoff hitter of the game. All right, now, Qwan, we're going to move over to the alpha pick. This is the pick that I feel the most confident in of all bets that I've made today. We're going with a stud in New Orleans. We're going with C.J. McCollum over 36.5 points, rebounds, and assists tonight at -110. For anybody who's watched the show, we actually had this bet before. Our first show together, Qwan, on March 8th, we had CJ at over 33.5 points, rebounds, and assists, and he faced the Memphis Grizzlies, a much better defensive team than the Spurs team. And he put up 32, 11, and 6. It was no sweat at all. We pretty much had that going into the fourth quarter. But I love this matchup because I think this is exactly why the Pelicans traded for him, to have this kind of primary alpha player and scorer and playmaker on their team, because I don't think that that's what they think about Brandon Ingram. And obviously Zion Williamson is not coming back anytime soon. But CJ's usage rate since he's come to New Orleans is much higher than when he was in Portland. And the last time they played the Spurs, fairly recently, it was March 26th. CJ had 32 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 games versus the Spurs this year. He averaged 26, 6, and 5, and went over this mark in 3 of them. We had it on the graphic here. I don't really like the expression "do or die." It almost is like it's a little too over dramatic for a bet. But that's pretty much what it is for the Pelicans and the Spurs: win or go home. And CJ, he has played a ton of high-profile playoff games, specifically elimination games. Over the last 3 postseasons, he's played in 4 elimination games. He's averaging just under 40 PRA in those games, and he hit it in 3 of 4. And then when you look at the Spurs defense, it leaves a lot to be desired, man. Like over the last 30 days, so that's about 14 games, San Antonio ranks bottom 10 in opponent 3-pointers made, opponent rebounds, 18th in opponent assists. They've been kind of limping into the play-in game. DeJounte Murray had an illness, just did come back on April 10th. But again, you don't know how sharp he's going to be. He even said that he lost a little bit of weight from this illness. So that could be an issue from a Spurs standpoint as far as defense on the perimeter. And I think Pop, I'm not sure if this is going to be his last season or not, but I think he is going to key in on CJ to make him more of like a playmaker and rebounder, which bodes well for the over 36.5. Because I think right now when you're looking at the prop odds, for example, like milestones, like to hit 30 points, he's sitting there at plus 150 at a lot of books. So that's not a huge difference to get to 30 points. And if he gets to 30 points at this spot, he's definitely going to make up for it on the rebounds and assist part because of the way the Spurs defense has been playing. I also wanted to let people know, I tweeted this out yesterday. I sprinkled on CJ to get a double at double-double at plus 1,500. I've looked and checked books this morning coming into this show. That's since dropped to plus 850. So they know what time it is. They know CJ is going to get the ball. And I'm going to take CJ over 36.5 points, rebounds, and assists tonight for the play-in game against the Spurs.
I think you're right about the do or die being dramatic, but it will be a high intensity game. Like, you're fighting for your playoff life. So one thing to note this weekend, I think it was this weekend where CJ said, "Don't take me in any of your prop bets. I'm only playing 6 minutes," and that was the last game he played in. So this is the note from Gilles. I bet the double-double. Make sure that you look at it. Check your sports.
I'm tagging him on Twitter right after the show. I'm just going to let him know. Get me 10 rebounds, man. Let's go.
There you go. Let's go.
Yeah. So those are the 3 picks. We've got Kevin Huerter, Aaron Nola, and CJ McCollum. Those are the three top bets for me tonight. We're going to bring on Jessica Gridiron here to give out her best MLB bets for tonight. Stay tuned to Dawg Day Afternoon. We'll be back in 1 minute. Dawg Day Afternoon. I'm joined now by Jessica Gridiron from FanDuel, one of the sharpest handicappers I know. I'm privileged to have her back on the show. Jess, welcome back to Dawg Day Afternoon.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I think having you on the show today, I think you're going to see a lot of good angles here with baseball, because I think you're one of the sharpest handicappers that I know just in this space. I've been following you for a few years now. And Jess, I know you haven't been really betting NBA lately, but we've got some playoff basketball tonight. Is there anything that you like for the play-in games between the Hornets and Hawks and Spurs Pelicans?
Yeah, actually, with both games, I like both dogs. For today, I like the Hornets at +5.5. I also like the Spurs at +5.5. But between both games, the Hornets is my favorite of the two.
Okay.
The reason why is I expect a high-scoring game in the Hornets and Hawks game, but my projections have the Hornets losing by 2 points, so I have to take the points in this matchup.
That's a good spot. And when people have models like that, I like the discipline of being able to see, like, well, this is what my model is spit out. This is not lining up with the current spread that bookmakers are throwing out to people. We're going to take advantage of that. For me, I actually really like Kevin Huerter over 2.5 3-pointers tonight. Again, just because both of those defenses, like you said, pretty much just let them run on each other. So I got that at plus money at +110. I'm hoping that we can be able to both cash on that. Charlotte as well. Would really love to see them in the playoffs, but they're so frustrating sometimes, because I feel like one game they can just look like world beaters because they have such good talent, and then other games, they just look like they are the Charlotte Hornets sometimes. So, but if you were to pick one of these sides, if you felt like you had a strong lean to a money line, like an underdog pulling off an upset, do you think it would be Charlotte over the Spurs in this one?
I do. I think it would be the chance to go for that. But like I said, between the two, I would say I'm not going with any money lines on it, but if I had to, that would be my choice.
I know, and that's my shtick. I like to try to go after the bigger plus odds. But you've been focusing pretty hard on baseball. Now, with baseball, we probably have 5-6 game sample size already for the season. So it might be a little more difficult from a model standpoint to be able to kind of spit out a projected line. But I think you have some pretty good angles so far, Jess. And the first game I wanted to take a look at is actually Oakland versus Tampa. Athletics money line right now sitting at +175. Tampa Bay at home -200. Looking at a low scoring game, over under sitting at 7.5 with the over at plus money right now. Oakland has seemed to kind of get off to another slow start. I mean, that's kind of Oakland's MO, in the last like 10, 15 years. And Tampa just cruising. They're 4-1 so far, but have split 2 games with the A's. Do we like the A's to pull off another upset, or are we going for another win for the Rays at the worst ballpark in Major League Baseball?
Yeah. So keep in mind, as you know, the season has just started, and I'm about 2 weeks away from really honing in on my projections, on deciding on, really going full forward on bets that I really like. So these are a lot of leans that I have today, but
Sure.
I do like the Athletics. The reason I do like them is they have started the season poorly so far. They dropped 2 of 3 in Philly and have split the series with the Rays so far. They also sit right around in the middle of the pack in batting average at .234, which ranks 15th overall. And they have a luxury of facing the Rays pitching staff that is struggling to start the season. Tampa is actually 19th in the league right now with a 4.11 ERA, but they do have Shane McCallum on the mound tonight. So both of these pitchers are legit in tonight's game, as Shane came off a rookie season where he's logged a 3.43 ERA over 123 plus innings. The A's starter, Frankie Montez, is no slouch either, though. He's posted a 3.37 ERA and a 13.9 record last season. Also, Frankie, he did have a rough outing on an opening day where he allowed 5 runs on 6 hits over 5 innings to the Phillies. But as we discussed early, we haven't discussed the Phillies yet, so I won't go into there. Yes, this is a better lineup, but I consider the pitching to be a wash. McMillan doesn't pitch deep into the game, though. And the Rays bullpen was taxed on Tuesday, so we could get a situation where this game is tied, or the Rays have a 1-run lead when Shane gets pulled and Oakland hammers the Rays bullpen to win this game.
Yeah, it's very interesting, too, with Oakland's pitching staff, because it just seems like they love to just dump players. And like Sean Manaea, I think, was expected to be their opening day starter, and then he was traded to your team, the Padres, and now Montas is actually in this spot here. So you are getting essentially what I would consider the cream of the crop of EA starting pitching at this stage of the season. So I think, at plus 175, too, it's probably one of the biggest dogs on the board today. Very good spot here to be able to grab them. We're going to move over to the AL East, Jess, because my beloved Blue Jays, they're playing in New York tonight, playing the New York Yankees, and as many people know, I hammer Jays home run props exclusively, especially when they play at Rogers Center. But they are in the Bronx tonight, and not to mention they are facing Garrett Cole. So what is the angle here? Are we looking at a Blue Jays bounce back or a Bronx beatdown?
Blue Jays. Two
Yes.
things. Oh, yeah. So 2 things I love to do are fading the Yankees and fading Garrett Cole. Okay. He's been a moneymaker, fading the public bias, who he is, versus the price that he deserves on the market. Cole is always overvalued, and you add in the Yankees overvalue as well, and I'll gladly take plus 150 in a divisional game where the Blue Jays have a capable pitcher in Berrios on the mound.
The opener, obviously, if you're just looking at that literally like 1 inning of sample size, you would be like, oh my God, run away. But again, Jose Berrios is a legit ace on that team. You can't judge him based off of just that opener against Texas. I'm with you, though. I think that the Jays, the one thing about Garrett Cole that kind of bugs me, especially like since that whole pine tar incident thing, that when it was being exposed last year of him, I guess, using it or not even be able to use it going forward, you saw his ERA just skyrocket and just getting shelled by teams. And even in the opener against Boston, gave up an opening inning home running to Rafael Devers. So I'm just not sure if this is the Garrett Cole that we're used to, as far as like what he was in Houston that last year, or even the first season and a half, let's say, with the Yankees. So I'm with you. And I think the offense as well on the Jays, we look at these last 2 games, they won 3-0, but then they were shut out last night. Very primed for a bounce back here. So I would love the Blue Jays to be able to win and knock off the Yankees here. Is there any other notes about this game, Jess, for Jays of why you like them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to say the Toronto pitching is, let's see, they've been horrible to start this season. Sorry about that.
I know.
But their offense has all the firepower necessary to put a hurt on Cole. So I think it's possible that this could be the game that they do it.
I found it very interesting, too, when looking at the strikeout lines as well, because Garrett Cole, I mean, if you think of perennial strikeout pitchers in Major League Baseball, you're thinking Max Scherzer, Jacob deGrom, Garrett Cole. I mean, Garrett Cole is the favorite to win it AL Cy Young again this year for the 3rd year in a row. The line was only at like 6.5. And usually, especially in home starts, when you're looking at his average, it was around like 8 or 9. So I'm surprised with how low that line is. And I think that correlates to what you're thinking as well, is that it's just his performance is just not there compared to what the lines that we're seeing.
Yeah, definitely. And, just a couple other things I was just going to mention real quick is, the Blue Jays, they're 26th in the league right now with a 5.75 ERA and 22nd with a 1.39 whip to start the season. So there's room for a ton of improvement here. Berrios, he did have a rough start, but again, getting a plus 150 value on a pitcher that I expect to turn it around and an offense that is legitimately one of the best in the game is good enough for me to take a swing at it and go with your team right here.
Yeah, well, it's such a home and away split too. Like if this was in Rogers Center and it was the same pitching matchup and everything else was just aligned and this was the matchup, Jays would probably be minus 110, maybe minus 115 favorites. So it just feels like such a big swing for just playing at Yankee Stadium because of the fact that they get to hit last. I don't think that's worth it enough as far as to be able to move those odds that much in comparison. So I love it. I'll be the first one to high five you digitally if the Blue Jays win this game. So, all right, now, Jess, this game has already gotten underway, but I think I would like to hear the angle of how you came to this conclusion. It's actually the Philadelphia Phillies and the New York Mets. Right now, before the game opened up, it was a coin flip at minus 110 with an over-under at 8.5. But an excellent pitching duel in place with Max Scherzer and Aaron Nola. I took the over on the Nola strikeouts at plus 100 for over 6.5 strikeouts. But how are you approaching this matchup?
Yeah, so the first thing I'm focusing on here is the typical Matt Scherzer overvalue in the market. He's been one of the most popular pitchers to bet over the last few years, and I doubt that this year is any different. Although Aaron Nola has had an average outing last time against the A's. He was elite a few seasons ago, and I consider last season more of an anomaly for him rather than the norm. Nola did dominate the Mets last season, however, posting a 2.25 ERA over 20 innings. And, the Phillies offense is elite, and they'll be able to put runs on the board all season. All they need to do is just hit Max a few times in this game to secure the win.
Yeah, and I mean, he's a fly ball pitcher too. So, I mean, that really bodes well for, guys like Bryce Harper, if you're looking at like home run props or Rhys Hoskins. And it's funny that you mentioned about the Nola part about the elite pitching. And it's such a home and away split for him. Like last season, 3.26 ERA in home starts, 5.27 on the road. It was 14 home starts, like 13 road starts. So it's not like he was starting way more games at home, for example, but his strikeout rate is better at home. He had 7 or more strikeouts in 11 of his 14 home starts. So yeah, I'm with you. And also the Mets, they've been striking out a lot as well. They have 7+ Ks in 3 of their 5 games so far. So for me, I love that. Like, I think that you're getting basically a coin flip game at minus 110. It should probably be closer to minus 130, but because you've got Scherzer on the mound, that's what you're getting the coin flip for. So, and I think that's part of your strategy, it sounds like, because we're seeing a lot of market movement for name pitchers like a Garrett Cole, a Max Scherzer, a Jacob DeGrom. DeGrom, I don't know if I would put in those same category because I feel like even though the team might not benefit from him, he's so elite. Like a lot of the time when he's on, it's, you might get 1 or 2 runs from the opposition. Just the problem is the Mets don't score. So so I'm with you. I think the Phillies will win this game. That's why I love the over on the Nola strikeouts. Is there any other notes about why you like the Phillies to be able to get a win here today?
Yeah, it's just basically you're hitting all the key points that I was going to mention as well. But, earlier this season when the variance is higher, I'll fade the big name pitchers any day. So just like you had mentioned, I think the minus 110 money line is pretty telling for a game with Scherzer on the mound. And
Nola at home. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's the one thing that kind of surprises me is like you're getting more value on the Phillies. I keep wanting to call them the Eagles. I don't know why I do that. I'm in NFL mode all year.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like if this was just another national starter, Mets starter, and then we had Aaron Nola pitching, you're probably looking at a minus 130, minus 135 line for the Phillies in comparison to this minus 110 coin flip stop.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad. I like it that we're on the same page in a lot of things.
I love it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, I'm not really a model guy. Like, I don't have algorithms and stuff like that I would put in. I'm more just like I'm old school. I do pen and paper. I'll sit there and comb every game log, just because that's the way that I feel more comfortable than just kind of sometimes what a number will tell me. Like, I like to be able to see the number, and then I'll even go back and watch games just so I can feel the eye test of what I'm seeing. But I respect people like you who are able to kind of put that model in place and take out the name factor a lot of the time when they're making these bets, because that's actually probably been more successful for you long term.
Yeah, it definitely has. That's why I'm excited for this season, because I felt like my projections last season did pretty well, and like I said, it's early on in the season now. Give it a couple more weeks, and I'm excited to see what all the work I put into where it's going to take me as far as with my betting strategies.
That's awesome. So Jess has got Athletics money line, Blue Jays money line, and the Phillies money line for her 3 best MLB bets tonight. And so that's all for today. 3 picks from me, 3 picks from Jess. Now, Jess, can you tell the folks at home where we can find more of your work and what we can expect of you coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, you can always find me on Twitter. You can DM me there. I do a lot of work for FanDuel. I also work for Covers. So if you go over to covers.com, you'll be able to find me on there where I post plays. And that's going to be the main places that you can find me at.
That's
and
awesome.
yes, as you see, Jessica Gridiron and Wine on Twitter.
Perfect. Yeah, I was about to say, so follow me on Twitter at GDawg5000. Make sure to follow her as well at GridironAndWine. That's all for Dawg Day Afternoon. We'll be back on Friday with another special guest. Thank you for watching. Bonne chance.